All right, welcome to It's Not News, Ep.2. I'm your host, David. Today we're talking about boundaries, how to have them, how to keep them, how to maintain them, what they are, what they mean to you, whatever my mind could think of in regards to the topic. Thank you for listening today. I was able to get all of the episodes listed onto Spotify, Apple Music. I have it on TikTok and Instagram, so those are going well. Everything's flowing smoothly, and I'm happy for that. The first episodes clips were received well as well. So hopefully we can continue that momentum, keep building up, keep making a platform where I can just speak freely. That's what I want. Now, let's get started. Boundaries. For me, the way I view boundaries is it's how you allow the people in your life to interact with you and your energy and how you return said energy. A simple example is at work, you have a specific relationship with your boss. You wouldn't say certain things to your boss, and your boss wouldn't say certain things to you. That's boundaries. Prime example of this, I'm working at Starbucks, and relationship was good with all my coworkers. I had a good team, good shift leaders. It was just my management that was a little bit iffy. And during the 6 months of me working there, I had a couple latencies under my belt. The reason I had this lateness was because when you're scheduling someone for 6 a.m., they have to put in the proper amount of commute time. And this makes sense. You're scheduled for 6 a.m., you're supposed to get that shift. When I was hired, I said I can make it to 8 a.m. and after. This doesn't necessarily align with the Starbucks schedule, but the distance that I was traveling wouldn't allow me to make it to Starbucks on time consistently before 7:30, 8 a.m. Sometimes I can make it at 6:30, 6:45, 7, but if I was scheduled for a 6 a.m. shift, there was a high chance that I would be late. I expressed this in the very beginning, and she still proceeded to give me these early morning shifts. Now, I didn't complain. I just said that if I'm going to be late, you know why. And we understood that. We had a mutual understanding. She was scheduling me for 6 a.m. I come in a little bit late. I just stayed a little bit later. It started to get to a point a few months in when that, unspoken agreement, that unspoken rule started to, disappear a little bit. And she was giving me write ups when she felt like it. Now, this confused me because I thought we had established a relationship and an understanding that if I was late, you know why. And I asked you not to schedule me for this time. That's the management's job. They control shifts. They work with their employees to make everything cohesive. After these write-ups started to pile up, there was two write-ups that had came through, and I was like, if I get a third write-up, I get fired. So I asked her, why am I getting these write-ups when we had this pre-established understanding that if I'm late, you know why, and I'll just work the extra time to make up for it. She said that this is against the rules, completely disregarded our previous relationship, but said that I understand and I won't schedule you for 6 a.m. shifts moving forward. After that moment, it just happened to line up that she had a 2 week vacation. And we received our shifts that Sunday when she was leaving on Monday. So imagine, I think everything's fine. I got my two write ups. I should be in the clear. I shouldn't get a third. And then she proceeds to schedule me for 2 weeks straight of 6 a.m. and 5:30 a.m. openings. Insane. I submitted a 2 week resignation to line up perfectly when she returned from her 2 week vacation. And that was me standing my ground on a boundary that I had established. If I had not done that, I would have received another write up, potentially fired from that position. Even though I quit, doesn't make a difference, quitting, quit, fired, but it's just the precedent. She wasn't respecting the boundary that I'd set, so I decided to make that change. Now, this is easier said than done when it comes to professional relationships versus personal relationships. A person that you don't know, a manager that you don't care for, it's easy to be able to just speak your mind freely without holding back. You can be a little more free with your words because you're not scared of hurting their emotions. But when you take that into more personal relationships, that's when it becomes difficult, like situations with family or friends. I know myself personally, I've been a people pleaser for a very long time. So this battle of relationships, I speak about it like it's easy, but this comes from a lot of trial and error of trying to establish these boundaries for myself. And it's also weird too trying to share these stories of myself without putting people in my life like on blast, putting all that information out there, but this is my experience. So why can't I? It's just like I know that people who have had these experiences with me, who I've set boundaries with, are listening. And it's kind of like a difficult instance of just like, you know, saying it to them. saying it to the public, knowing that there's a chance they will hear. You could say this is my own version. This is my own little instance of setting a boundary. I'm making something where I can share freely. Will I uphold that, or will I lower my boundaries to appease the emotions and feelings that these people can potentially be feeling? That is a challenge. Okay, fuck it. I'm gonna just speak. I'm gonna just speak of mine. I'm not gonna say names though, because that's one way I can do it with a clear conscience. All right, so prime example. Last podcast I mentioned I had moved out at 21, and this was cool. This is great. I did not mention though that I had roommates, and I had two roommates. They were my friends for a long time, and the place I moved into was actually the apartment that my family lived in. We all lived in it together, and we have a program called Section 8. My family moved out, I moved in. I had the apartment to myself, and I was taking care of all the bills for at least 2 months at a time. But I had all this extra space. I'm in a 3-bedroom apartment. So, one person in a 3-bedroom apartment, I got 2 friends, I got 2 rooms, boom. It made sense. And we invited them in, everything was great. Imagine typical bachelor pad, bros crib. Like that's what it felt like. We're all gaming together, watching movies. We got a nice big screen and TV in the living room. It felt like it was a nice moment for what it was. As time progressed, you start to bump heads with people about how you live your life, how you upkeep your home, and that's where a lot of, I feel like, roommate relationships kind of blunder. And I was warned about this, that this may be a potential issue with our friendship if we were to move in together, because not everyone can live in the same environment, habitat, or in the same environment, the same energy, and the same level of clutter. It's just bumping heads in those ways. Now, my roommates weren't the cleanest, and I tend to get a bit compulsive when there's too much clutter around me. My brain just can't function properly, so I need to clean. And this resulted in me doing a lot of the cleaning the initial months. I was the only one doing the bathroom, the only one really doing the kitchen. And when it came to expressing this to them, the response was, "Oh, I don't really cook that much, so why do I have to clean the kitchen? It's okay, I'll just do my dishes." But there's much more to a kitchen than just the 2 dishes you did. There's the trash you make, the counter space you use to make your food, to prep your stuff up, that get left behind. These little things fall through the cracks. And like cleaning the bathroom, people won't wipe the toilet the way you wipe the toilet. Like when you're cleaning the toilet, there's an underside to the bowl. Like there's more to it than just scrubbing the inside. And not everyone will understand that, especially when they're learning how to be individuals who live on their own. So this is where we bumped heads, right? Cleanliness. Simple as that. Everything else was great. Great relationship with the homies. It was just the cleanliness. And I expressed this to them. I was like, yo, I feel like I need to pick up some weight when it comes to cleaning. And the conversation went well. I thought everything was good. And my point was heard. They heard me, and it did change for a little bit, right? Like the trash, the clutter was less obvious. The dishes were cleaner more often. But then eventually it slipped back into that old habit. Now, as a person who was providing the space for them to stay, right? This is my apartment. I figured the least you can do is respect the fact that I want a clean house, right? You're paying bills, I'm paying bills, we're all splitting the shit equally. The least you can do is keep a clean space. That was the one boundary I set. And time again, it came down to not being clean, me expressing that desire for them to be clean, them saying sure and not respecting it. It got so bad to the point where we were actually getting complaints from the neighbors from all the clutter that was on the porch because I got tired of cleaning their shit. I'm not their nanny. So I decided not to clean up after them. I'm not their mom. I'm not their dad, I'm not their parent. These are grown men. Clean up your shit. Now, it got to the point where the porch was completely filled with trash and old recyclables. I would be out working, they'd be out. Like, I understand that life is life and you have schedules, but if somebody's home on a Friday night and the trash has to go out, take out the fucking trash. It ain't that hard. Like, that's adulting 101. Just take care of your chores when you need to, and stuff won't be bad. This continues to happen, and we're bumping heads, and they're not respecting the boundaries. So I told them at this point we were living together for about a year. I was like, you guys have 3 months to either fix your shit or get out. That was me setting a hard deadline. Now, I make it sound like it was just a simple escalation, but this was extremely difficult for me to say to my friends because those are my boys. I don't want to be in that awkward tension filled situation where I'm trying to instill this like enforcer's hand, you know? Like I'm trying to be the parent or authority figure when we're equals. I'm no different from them. So why do I have to be the one to put down the fist here? That's where boundaries come in. It is my apartment. So in that sense, I have a responsibility to upkeep that apartment and I have the authority to instill that boundary. So when time came and the crib wasn't, like the mess wasn't changing, the habits of my homies weren't changing, I had to instill that rule, that clause, that time frame. I said 3 months for you to fix your shit, save up your money, and get out. Either like we can retouch about this in about a month and a half, 2 months, and see where you guys are. If things have changed, who knows? Maybe we stay. Like I enjoy living with you guys. It's just a mess. Please, like when I say it was disgusting, disgusting. That's all we had to do. A month goes by, nothing changes. All right, cool. I'm speaking with them like, yo, have you been looking for a place? Like dropping hints, like trying to be as friendly about it as I can, because to be frank, you're disrespecting me and you're disrespecting my home. But I wanted to be the bigger person, and I was being kind about it, asking about the chores, and just being met with like a brick wall, bro. It was like maybe I changed them a little bit. They do like a dish or two, and it's back to the same habits. So it made no point for me to continue fighting. A month goes by, I'm checking in. They're like, oh yeah, whatever, brushing it off. Like their move out date isn't coming up. Like they haven't been able to prep. And then 2 months have passed at this point, and now again, I'm like, yo, do you guys need help? Have you figured out where you're moving to? Like straight up dropping these hints. Like yo, bro, when are you leaving? Being as direct as I can. One of my roommates had the audacity to be like, I didn't think you were serious. I didn't think you were actually gonna kick me out. What? What kind of entitlement is that? Like, how you gonna tell me that I've been complaining to you for close to a year to change something and you haven't changed it? I'm gonna enact my right as the apartment owner, as someone who has control over this space, to change that. If I want something a certain way and it's my crib, I can do that. But yeah, homie was like, oh, I didn't think you'd actually kick me out. And that's when we kind of like bumped heads. I was like, nah, bro, I've been telling you for 3 months. 3 months is an ample amount of time for you to get your shit together, save up money, and move out. Mind you, homie wasn't saving, wasn't preparing, didn't think anything of it, still didn't change his habits, and was expecting me to change my mind about him living here. Hell no. Time passes, eventually they do move out, and I got the place back to myself, and I cleaned everything up again, and we tried to maintain friendships, but at some point it was just like the amount of disrespect that I was receiving in those months to come, it made it so that I'm not the one in the fault here. If you want to fix the friendship, that's on you. That's for you to maintain. And that's another boundary I set. I think the core point that I'm trying to make is that boundaries are what you establish when you've learned to respect yourself to a certain level. If you are a boss of a business, you will not let certain things slide with your employees. If you are in a relationship with your partner, you will not let certain things slide that make you feel uncomfortable. Those are boundaries. Those are levels that you'll set so that you can feel comfortable in the space that you are in. Okay, here's how I would advise you to be able to set those boundaries. To know that you are deserving of that level of respect, of that level of priority in people's lives and in your own life. It comes down to loving yourself enough to know that you deserve this respect. If you don't even think highly of yourself enough to be able to have the rights and the privileges that you want to have, how will you expect others to do so? If you're always nice to people and giving your whole heart to everyone that you interact with and saying yes to everything and never turning down a request, then people are going to get used to that. They're going to become accustomed to you being that person that just always is there for them. Now, when you learn to respect yourself and respect your time and give that love and effort towards yourself, the people around you are going to think that you're just changing up on them. And they're going to wonder why this is happening and be upset at the fact that you are no longer freely available for them to use. But in reality, what you are doing is growing. You are changing. You are evolving. That is a part of life. It is important for you to do that. And if people cannot understand that as you grow and change, your time and priorities will no longer 100% be on them, then They don't deserve to be in that new version of you. They don't deserve to be with that new version of you. Evolution is a part of life. Growing is a part of life. Change is a part of life. If people cannot match that wave of your change, then they get left behind. As simple as that. And you can still engage with people and interact, but as long as they respect the new boundaries that you have built up. If they expect you to act like the old version of self prior to the changes you've made to become a better person, then they don't deserve to be in your new energy. Simple. Honestly, that's all I really got to say about boundaries. But what I will say is I have an idea. So a while back, this is separate from the concept of boundaries. Last episode, I talked about purpose, and this is something that resonates very strongly with me. I've spent many hours, many days just sitting to myself and trying to understand what my purpose is. And that's why I spoke about it last episode, because it's something that resonates with me very strongly. I've done different methods of writing out and trying to make these little graphs and plans and these little charts to help me figure out where my skills are and where my priorities lie, how I can help people, where I can help people in life. And this resource has been very useful to me. Now, it's a very beginner copy. Like, this is just whatever was in my brain onto a piece of paper, not refined at all. But I would like to put some time and effort into refining this resource. I've tried to offer it up to a couple friends of mine, and I ran it by Anai. I ran it by a couple of friends of mine that are like we're still in college at the time, and just pitching this tool to see if it would work for other people the way it worked for me. And there were some successes, some failures, but I would love to refine this tool and put some effort and energy towards making it something that I can share. Because of course the podcast exists and I can speak and I can share and I can impart my knowledge onto people. But if I can make something that is tangible, that people can hold with their hands and actually write in and engage in, I think that would have drastically more impact in that general mission of helping people find purpose. And in doing so, fulfilling my own purpose. So I think I'm going to try to work on a purpose planner. I don't know how I should write it. A purpose planner would probably be maybe like a couple pages. But what if I can include a section about your past traumas or childhood traumas, and then include a section about self-reflection or self-love, or today, boundaries. There can be a book that I make that culminates all of these concepts of self-improvement and self-help and learning about the magic within in one place. Who knows? Maybe I do this. No, matter of fact, I will say it. I'm going to make this resource. I'm going to make this tool and build it up and produce it. I don't know how long it will take me, but at some point this will be done. That's all I got to say for today. I appreciate you all for listening. Establish your boundaries out of love for yourself, because you deserve to have respect. You deserve to be able to be the most authentic version of you that you are right now, without the judgment and the opinions and the criticisms of other people. Establish your boundaries. Remove those from your life who do not abide by it, and keep it pushing. That's all I got to say. Thank you. Thank you for listening to It's Not News. Check us out on all platforms: Spotify, Apple Music, Instagram, TikTok. Thank you. YouTube. Bye-bye.